Uh-oh, I'm in trouble.
Buckle up, because this deep dive is going to be a wild one. We're entering the world of Joker, Folie, Deux, the sequel to the film that, let's be honest, left us all a little messed up.
And this time, we're going even deeper into the rabbit hole.
Yeah, this isn't just a sequel. It's like they took everything we thought we knew about the Joker and threw it into a blender with, Lady Gaga, Arkham Asylum, and a whole lot of psychological drama.
Which is exactly what makes it so fascinating. It's not afraid to tackle the really uncomfortable questions about mental illness, fame, and the nature of identity.
And it does all of this while being a visual and auditory feast. Seriously, the cinematography, the music, the performances, it's a lot to unpack.
Which is why we're here. We're going to break down the film's themes, analyze the characters, and hopefully shed some light on those ambiguous ending scenes.
And trust me, there's a lot to unpack there. But let's start at the beginning. We find Arthur Fleck right where the last film left him, locked up in Arkham State Hospital.
The infamous Arkham, a place that's practically a character itself in the Batman universe.
Oh, absolutely. And in this film, it's not just the setting, it's a reflection of Arthur's fractured mental state, this pressure cooker of societal anxieties about madness and chaos.
It's a breeding ground for the very themes the film explores.
Mm-hmm.
Isolation, delusion, the fine line between sanity and insanity.
And into this already volatile mix comes Harleen Quinzel, but not the Harley Quinn we're used to seeing.
Right. Forget the jester costume and the over-the-top antics. This is Harleen before the fall, a psychiatrist at Arkham drawn to Arthur's darkness.
And that's where things get really interesting, because it makes you wonder what kind of person is drawn to someone like Arthur Fleck, a man who has embraced chaos and unleashed it upon Gotham.
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The film hints at something called hybristophilia, this attraction to someone based on their notoriety, the infamy of their crimes.
Okay, now that's a bit dark, even for the Joker. But it also makes sense. I mean, we've seen this fascination with criminals in the real world, this morbid curiosity.
Absolutely. And the film doesn't shy away from the complexities of Harleen's attraction. It doesn't offer easy answers. Is it genuine empathy? Is it a savior complex? Or is it something more, unhealthy?
Something tells me it's a little bit of all of the above. And that's what makes a relationship so fascinating, so disturbing.
It's like watching a car crash in slow motion. You know it's going to end badly, but you can't look away.
And this is where the title of the film comes in, right? Folie, Deux, shared madness.
Exactly. As Arthur and Harleen grow closer, their realities start to merge. Arthur's delusions become Harleen's, her grasp on sanity slipping away as she falls deeper under his sway.
So it's not a love story in the traditional sense. It's more like a shared descent into madness.
Exactly. A twisted psychological dance where they feed off each other's darkness.
And to make things even more intense, we have musical numbers.
Ah, yes, the musical numbers. A bold choice that really pays off.
It's not your typical song and dance routine, though. It's more like
Operatic. Surreal. A window into their increasingly fractured psyches.
all of the above. I'm not even sure how to describe it, but it's definitely effective. It adds this whole other layer to the film's already unsettling atmosphere.
The music becomes a character in itself. Haunting, seductive, disturbing. It reflects the emotional undercurrents of the film perfectly.
So we've got Arkham Asylum, a psychiatrist falling for her patient, shared madness, musical numbers. This is already shaping up to be quite the sequel.
And we haven't even scratched the surface.
So we left off talking about Harleen's fascination with Arthur, but it goes beyond just attraction, doesn't it? It's like she sees something in him, something she recognizes in herself, maybe.
I think that's a really astute observation. There's this mirroring effect happening between them. Arthur's descent into madness becomes a kind of twisted reflection of Harleen's own internal struggles.
And that's what makes this portrayal of Harley Quinn so compelling. She's not just a sidekick, a punchline. She's a complex character with her own agency, her own demons.
Exactly. This isn't the cartoonish, hypersexualized Harley we've seen in other iterations. This is a woman on the verge of a breakdown, grappling with the weight of her own empathy, her own desire to fix what's broken.
And she sees Arthur as someone who needs fixing, someone she can save.
Perhaps. But there's also a sense that she's drawn to his darkness, to the power he seems to wield by embracing his own chaos.
There's that scene, I think it's after their first therapy session, where she's watching him being dragged back to his cell, and the look on her face...
Entranced.
Yeah.
Horrified. Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, exactly. It's like she's both terrified and strangely turned on by what she's witnessing.
And that's the brilliance of this film. It makes us confront those uncomfortable truths about ourselves, those shadows we try to keep hidden.
So as Arthur's world spirals further out of control, Harleen gets pulled along for the ride.
It's more than that. She becomes an active participant in his delusions, a willing accomplice to his madness. Remember that scene where they're dancing in the asylum common room, dressed in their makeshift costumes?
Oh, yeah. Chilling, surreal.
Right. It's like watching two moths drawn to a flame, completely oblivious to the danger they're in.
Speaking of danger, things take a turn when the film shifts to the courtroom scenes. Suddenly, we're not just trapped in Arkham anymore. We're thrust into the heart of Gotham's legal system, this battleground of justice and corruption.
And Arthur, in a way, becomes a symbol of that corruption, a mirror held up to society's hypocrisy.
And we see Harvey Dent, who's still a young, idealistic district attorney at this point.
Right, before his own fall from grace.
Yeah.
It's like the film is setting up this larger chessboard, this battle between order and chaos that extends far beyond Arthur and Harleen's twisted love story.
It's like Gotham itself is a character in this story, this breeding ground for madness and despair.
And within that context, Arthur and Harleen's relationship, this shared descent into Folie, Deux, becomes both a tragedy and a twisted kind of rebellion against the very system that created them.
We left off with the sense of things spiraling out of control. Arthur's trial, Harvey Dent's introduction. It feels like Gotham itself is on a knife's edge. Where do things go from here?
Well, it wouldn't be a Joker movie without a healthy dose of chaos, would it? And believe me, Folie Deux delivers on that front.
So the gloves come off in this final act.
You could say that. Remember, Arthur's become a symbol, a figurehead for those who feel marginalized, forgotten by society. But with that kind of notoriety comes a whole new set of dangers.
Because now he's got a target on his back, both inside Arkham and out.
Exactly. The lines start to blur. Who's in control? Who's pulling the strings? It's like Gotham itself is this pressure cooker ready to explode, and Arthur's the one holding the detonator.
And what about Harleen? Where does she fit into all this chaos?
That's the heart of it all, isn't it? Their bond, forged in madness, is put to the ultimate test. Can it survive outside the walls of Arkham? Can it withstand the pressures of a world determined to crush them both? Well, that's the question, isn't it? And I won't spoil the ending, but let's just say Joker. Folie Deux doesn't shy away from the consequences of its character's choices. It's a brutal, heartbreaking, and ultimately unforgettable journey.
And the music. How does the music play into this final act?
Imagine a fever dream set to opera. It's haunting, it's seductive, it's absolutely terrifying. The music becomes a reflection of their descent, this echo of their shared madness. It's unlike anything you've ever heard.
So we've got Gotham on the brink, a love story fueled by madness, and music that's both beautiful and terrifying. It sounds like the filmmakers have managed to outdo themselves with this sequel.
It's a risk, pushing the boundaries like this, but I think it pays off. Joker. Folie Deux is a film that stays with you, that makes you question everything you thought you knew about sanity, about love, about the very nature of reality itself.
What more could you ask for in a film? We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. Mental illness, the allure of chaos, the fine line between love and obsession. It's a lot to process.
It is. But that's the power of storytelling, isn't it? To hold a mirror up to our own darkness, to make us question, to make us feel. And Joker. Folie Deux does all of that and more.
It's a film that will stay with you long after the credits roll. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the madness. Until next time, keep asking the tough questions, keep exploring the dark corners, but be careful who you choose to share your delusions with, because you never know where that rabbit hole might lead.